r/AskReddit. What is the creepiest glitch you've experienced in real life? Once when I was about 14ish I got up to get ready to go to school as always. Our bathroom sink and mirror was next to the door, and as I was brushing my teeth I saw and heard my 4-year-old sister run past the bathroom through the mirror. Now mind you, there's no other way back to her room since we only had one hallway leading to all the bedrooms and it was past the bathroom. I went to the living room, kitchen and dining room to find her to send her back to bed, and I couldn't find her anywhere. I went to check in her room to see if she snuck past me, and she was in a deep sleep, so I knew it wasn't her immediately. I told my mom about this when she got up and she just said, "You saw that little girl too?" Freaked me the heck out. Never saw her again, thankfully. Jesus, that's creepy. I've had the "oh you saw the little girl too?" bit once before. I was at a friend's house for like the 4th time ever and saw in the living room to my left a little girl in a white dress walk through. At first it didn't faze me, but then I remembered that the little sister wasn't even there. I mentioned it to his mom and him, and they both confirmed that they see her all the time. Apparently she was a nice ghost and never caused any problem. Oddly soothing actually when she would come through. While this may not seem creepy, I can tell you the experience most definitely was creepy. This happened when I was 8 and working in the yard with my mom. My mother and I were doing the spring planting in the flower beds around the house. I went inside for a pee break, and on my way to the bathroom I had to walk through the living room. I entered the LR through the kitchen. Looked up, and on the other side of the LR, I saw sitting on the couch none other than my sister. She was wearing her school uniform and was looking towards me, but not at me. Never said a word. Nothing really unusual, right? What makes this a glitch? My sister was hundreds of miles away at boarding school, not helping us plant flowers, and certainly not sitting at the edge of the couch giving me a blank stare. My little 8-year-old self reversed course and locked himself in the half bath until he regained the courage to go back through the house and finish planting hostas. Was taking the train home one afternoon and an old man was sitting a row ahead of me. He turned around and asked for directions to the hospital, and I told him which stop to get off at. Eventually, his stop arrives and he gets up to leave, but before he exits he turned and said, "Thank you, I'll see you later." I said, "Yeah, no problem," and again he said, "I'll see you later," and he looked me right in the eye. I said, "Sure, see ya," and he got off the train and hobbled away with his cane. Thought it was a little weird he was adamant about seeing me around, but whatever. Freaky thing is, when I got off the train and to the bus station, about 5 minutes after boarding my bus I hear a voice that sounds like the old man. I looked out the bus window and sure enough, he was there at the bus station, same clothes, hat, and cane. I know it was the same guy, but with his walking speed and the available bus, train routes at the time I have zero clue how he got to the bus station right when I did. There are no buses near the hospital that go to that bus station, and my train was the only train that had just arrived at the bus station. In 2010 I was working for a transportation company as a dispatcher, and I walked out to go home one afternoon and my foot went through the paved parking lot. After I took another step I looked all over and it was all solid. It was a weird random thing, but I'll never forget it. This is so weird I've never told anyone, but once when I was in the 6th grade, I was watching 21 Jump Street and I was sitting on the carpet. I looked down at my hand and for like half a minute, second or so, my hand sank into the carpet like the floor was liquid. I saw a ripply hand shape around my sunken hand. I blinked and it was gone. This was many years before I discovered alcohol or weed. Just saying. One night when I was a teenager, I got up to use the bathroom, and I looked down the stairs from the hallway and I saw my then 14-year-old brother walking past the downstairs corridor from one room to another. I knew it was him because of his longish hair that he had at the time, and his gait. I even saw his baggy jeans shape. It was the mid-O's. I thought it was out of character and weird for him to be walking around in the dark and at that hour in day clothes, but I thought nothing more of it and went to the bathroom. The next morning when I asked him what he was doing last night, he said he never went downstairs. As far as I know, He doesn't and never has sleepwalked. Edit. To everyone suggesting I saw him sneaking out and he lied, we were boringly well-behaved homeschooled kids, and we told each other everything. We were on the same side, and we weren't really into lying about stuff. I could ask him now if he ever sneaked out. He's 28 now, so I even more doubt he'd lie since it happened so long ago. I had a dream about a coworker. She loved dogs and would always ask me to share pictures of my GSD and Labrador whenever we'd talk at work. In the dream she was on a couch crying. My Labrador is a very emotional connected dog. She goes to anyone she thinks is sad, which is exactly what she did in the dream. My coworker looked at me and said, "Thank you for sharing her. I feel better about all of this now." I found out at work the next day that my coworker had tripped at the top of her stairs and died that night. The dream still freaks me out when I think about it. It was so vivid and clear. This gave me chills. When my mom called to tell me that my grandpa died, I thought she said Papa died, and Papa is the nickname for my dad. I was crying uncontrollably, and when I finally figured out it was Grandpa, I was too embarrassed to admit that I thought it was my dad. I called him later and told him, and he just laughed. Anyway, fast forward 3 weeks and my dad dies too. Part of me thinks mishearing her was the universe preparing me to lose him. It was weird because it was like I lost him twice, and I'm still kind of waiting for someone to tell me it was all a mistake and it was actually someone else. Edit. I feel kind of bad because I've barely thought about Grandpa since my dad died. My grandma has it the worst because she lost a husband and a son in the same month. Sometimes, a moment or two before something happens, I'll remember I dreamed what was about to happen. Then it happens. This whole thing happens so fast. It's freaky. Edit. Whoa. This blew up. Thank you guys. I've never gotten so many upvotes. Has anyone else experienced long, realistic dreams where you're knowingly in the somewhat distant future? I had one dream a few years ago like this. Don't know exactly what year it represented, but I'd guess, maybe 2030s, 2040s? I knew I was middle age at least. It felt like I was there for a complete day in regular real time, except I knew that I was essentially just visiting and whatever was going on there had no consequences for me, and I was free to wander around. I was invited into someone's apartment at one point, and was looking around thinking, wow, so that's what the future design trends will be. I need to remember this, and I was studying this centralized high-tech control panel on the wall for all the smart house type stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't see any cars. Out in the city there was some forced population registration thing going on with tents, booths set up outside various stores, and the people manning it were threatening me that I didn't have this new ID card yet, but I knew I wasn't actually there and could safely ignore their threats. I was in this vivid dream so long and got so used to the new future environment that when I finally woke up in my own bed in real life, it felt like I had just traveled back in time, much to my relief. I wonder if I'll have some major crazy deja vu in another decade or so. Hey everyone. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like or some shit like that. Anyways, happy holidays.